Hello everybody, my name is Zoe Rebekah. Welcome back to my channel. And today's video is going to be kind of a broke college student survival guide video, as well as managing mental health as a college student living on my own. So I did a poll and it seemed like a lot of you guys wanted a video about managing mental health living on my own. And I kind of had these two different ideas of like managing mental health living on my own and like broke college student survival guide. And it just made the most sense to me to like just combine them into like one intertwined video. So this is going to be just managing mental health in college, as well as maintaining financial stability, as well as emotional stability, and just overall well-being as a college student. Yeah, so without further ado, let's get into it. And just to start out with, honestly, it can be very difficult for me to manage my mental health on my own as a college student. I have my moments where it is extremely difficult, and it is just, it feels like it sucks right now. Like, I always am pretty aware of the fact that it's not going to last forever, and that these stressors are temporary and this overwhelm is temporary. But right now, like in the moment, it really does suck. Like, I say a lot to Theo and just in general, like, I know it's not gonna last forever, but it sucks right now. And that's kind of my mentality a lot of times about this. Don't get me wrong, I love college. I love what I'm studying. I love that I'm able to pursue my education further and that I get to study what I want to study and enjoy the content and, you know, get a degree in what I really want to pursue as a career. Like, I'm so grateful for that. But college is stressful and it can be tricky to transition to it. For me, I graduated high school in 2021 and I lived in Pennsylvania most of my life. I was born in New York, but I lived in Pennsylvania most of my life. And then I moved to Florida for college, and it was just a big transition and it was very jarring. And, you know, I had a lot of time to prepare, and I took some time off from school and I just worked for a while in 2022 and 2023. Like, I started college at the end of 2023, so the end of 2021 and 2022 and the beginning of 2023 I just spent working, and that was really helpful for me. I needed to get away from school for a little bit. But yeah, that's beside the point. Just allow your transitions to college, if possible, to be as seamless as possible. And I think that I made my transition as seamless as possible, but it's still inevitably going to feel a little jarring, and just like, it's a whole new environment and it's going to take time, and it's going to just take processing to get used to everything. So if you're just starting college, don't expect to just jump right into it and feel like you're fully prepared, because that's not likely. It's hard for me to be alone a lot as well. Theo works full-time. Theo's my boyfriend who I live with, if you didn't know, and he works full-time, so I'm here alone a lot, and my class schedule is very sporadic. So I have classes 1 or 2 or 3 times a week depending on the month, because I have new classes every month, and it's only 1 or 2 classes each month. Sometimes there's 3, but that's rare, and they're like long ass classes. I don't love that. I can't control that. That's just the way my school and program is structured. But that means that I'm home a lot alone, and I've only really made one friend here, and she's busy a lot. So I spend a lot of time by myself, and it can be kind of damaging to my mental health, if I'm gonna be honest with you guys. So if you have the opportunity to go out more and socialize and not be a hermit like I'm doing a lot, I would take advantage of those opportunities. And I know that the more, I've only been in college 6 months, and I know that the further along I get, the more connections I'll make, and, you know, the longer I live here, the more familiar I will be with the area. And when Theo turns 21, then he can go out to bars with me, because I'm 21 and he's not yet. So he's turning 20 in May, so he's got a little bit until he turns 21. But hopefully I'll make more friends, and I don't know. I'm holding out hope because I don't want to be hopeless. I want to be hopeful that there's going to be more opportunities for me to meet people and make connections professionally and just friendship-wise, socially. But I manage my mental health by doing several things that we're gonna get into. I'm sorry this was such a long-winded introduction, but I wanted to get all of that out of the way. But yeah, before we get into the actual mental health or college student management tips, make sure you guys are subscribed to this channel and give this video a like if you enjoyed enjoy it. It really helps me out. And make sure you stay tuned for weekly videos. I make vlogs, pop culture videos, college content, mental health videos, Swiftie content, and more. So yeah, let's get into the video actually. So I'm constantly writing things down in a planner. I use a daily planner. I'll show it to you guys. This is my 2024 planner and I got it from Target. You can get any kind of planner anywhere, but here's my like weekly planner. Each day I write tasks I need to accomplish and I check them off when I'm finished with them, and it helps me just keep track of everything. And then there's the month one, so I keep track of like when my classes start and birthdays, other important events. It's really important to, like for me at least, I think for a lot of students especially, but I feel like even beyond when I'm a student I'll be using planners. It really helps with organization, and it really helps just keep track of everything you need to accomplish and things you want to accomplish, you know, assignments, work stuff, other activities that you gotta do, you know, plans, events, whatever you have going on, birthdays, other holidays, whatever. It's important to keep track of everything just so you don't miss anything, appointments especially, just so you don't miss anything and you feel organized and you feel in control of everything, because when you feel out of control that just is never good. It spirals into other things. But yeah, I write down like every task I have to complete. Yeah, I use my notes app as well. My notes app, we got YouTube video ideas. I'm not gonna show you guys those. I got grocery lists, my vinyl list that I check off as I get vinyls. If you guys haven't seen my vinyl collection video, go check it out. I have 2024 releases, like my ratings of 2024 album releases. Like I just have like random lists on there, but I really find it helpful, especially for grocery lists and just any sort of list. I find the notes app really helpful, so make sure you use your notes app. I also use Google Docs a lot for other things. Story ideas, for video ideas. I use my Google Docs a lot for random different things as well, but I keep everything organized in folders. I want to emphasize that not everything is just chaotic everywhere. Like it's important to keep organization and to keep everything in folders, especially online. And I was gonna get to that, but I'll just say that now. I keep everything on my computer. Here's my computer here. That's why I'm like pointing that down there. But my computer has folders for different classes, so I can keep everything organized. I have videos in one folder, like finished videos in one folder, and then I have like the Adobe Premiere stuff in one video, and then I have class assignments in different folders for different classes, and it's just really important to stay organized. Bottom line, budgeting is your best friend as a broke college student. So I keep different lists in my kitchen. I'll put in pictures, but in my kitchen I have just like a list of our different expenses every month, and just it helps us keep track of what we have to spend money on every month, and it helps us to not spend too much money on extra things. Obviously we don't want to deprive ourselves. That was another point I have, but we don't want to deprive ourselves. No self-deprivation, because that will drive you fucking crazy. And a lot of times if you deprive yourself from anything for too long, you either go on a binge or you spend too much time or whatever on it. You spend too much on it. Sometimes money, a lot of times money. If you deprive yourself from buying things, then you're gonna go on a spree eventually. And you know what I mean? Like we don't want to build things up so much to the point where we explode eventually. And that goes with anything. So I just think it's important not to deprive ourselves and to just maintain a healthy balance. I've talked about balance countless times on this channel, so I'm not gonna go into a whole spiel about balance, but balance is key, and we want to balance. We don't want to deprive ourselves. We want to budget. Budgeting is a great tool, and just keeping track of your expenses every month and kind of limiting yourself for what you can spend. Like there are certain subscriptions and fast food and extra things that you don't need to always spend money on, and it's important to just kind of catch yourself if you are wanting to spend money on extra things. Like I said, having that balance between that and not depriving ourselves is important, but you want to have limits. You have to have limitations for yourself, or you're gonna be completely broke and you're not gonna be able to live, and that's bad. We don't want that. We're trying to avoid that here. And people's financial situations are extremely varied, but you shouldn't be scared of spending money on things that you don't necessarily need. Like, it's important to prioritize the things that you need over want, but you don't want to just completely cut it all out, because you're gonna be unstable, you're gonna be unfulfilled, you're gonna be unhappy, you're gonna be unhealthy. You don't want any of that. But yeah, our different expenses that we have on the list are like the Wi-Fi and internet, the rent, the groceries, just household stuff, insurance, rent, streaming services. We try to limit our streaming services that we pay for. We use a lot of streaming services from family members, which is helpful. So if you can do that, then that's really helpful. But we do pay for some streaming services that aren't too expensive. And I have college student discounts at certain places. So that's another tip I have. Any place that has college student discounts, there's a lot of places. There's local places, like there's local places that work with my school to give students discounts. But there's also like big companies like Target. I have a list here. Oh yeah, Target, Hulu, Amazon, Spotify, Apple, Helix. A lot of companies offer student discounts when you like make an account with a verified college ID. So any opportunities you have to use student discounts, definitely take advantage of those. That's really important. Obviously, some things aren't necessary to spend money on, but if there's a good sale for something that you need or have been wanting that, you know, is like Target has like 20% off like storage stuff for college students or frozen food for college students I saw the other day. So yeah, that stuff's really helpful. Prioritize school. This should go without saying, but your two priorities while in school should be your self-care and school. You are spending money to go to school in college. You are wasting your own money if you don't try or you don't go to class. Simple. It drives me crazy when like people don't go to class in college. Like, I get that it's a lot sometimes and you don't have to go to class 100% of the time, but if you're just skipping class to skip class and you don't feel like it, that is weird to me. Like, that's wasting your own money. I mean, some people it's not their own money, but my point still stands. Don't waste your time or your money not going to class or prioritizing class and schoolwork. And like personally for me, I have a great GPA right now. I work really hard in school. I didn't move all the way to Florida for college and spend all this money on school just to not try or not go to class. And my school, with the attendance, if you don't go to 2 or 3 classes, it depends on the class, but if you don't go to like 2 or 3 classes, you fail the whole class and you have to take it all over again. So we don't want that. Obviously each school is different, but some schools, if you miss enough class, you're gonna have to retake the whole class. Then you're spending more money on the class and you have to retake the whole class and redo all the work that you just did, and we don't want that either. So the two main things that should be your priorities, well, I guess 3 things, relationships as well. School, self-care, and relationships. But relationships goes into self-care because your relationship with yourself as well. That's how I'm skewing it. But anyway, and prioritize your self-care. That was the other thing that I wanted to talk about. Like, we're delve deep into mental health and mental well-being now as a college student. When your mind is clogged with stress and worry and depression and fear and all these negative emotions, then you don't have a clear mindset to focus on school and work and things that you need to focus on and prioritize. And it's difficult to find that motivation to prioritize anything. So for your own sake and the sake of every aspect of your life and relationships, take care of yourself. Make sure you're nourishing yourself properly. Make sure you're eating as healthily as you can. Eating healthy as a college student, as a broke college student, can seem really daunting sometimes because just healthy food may seem expensive and it's just a lot of work to like cook meals, but I found it really helpful to meal prep and meal plan. I want to make a whole video of meal prepping and meal planning for the week, so let me know if you guys want to see that kind of video. But I do a lot of meal prepping and meal planning at the beginning of each week. I do it on Sundays, and I just come up with, I like just start doing research on cheap, easy recipes, and I will get the ingredients for them, and usually I'll have a lot of the stuff already, but if I need something from the grocery store, I'll go to Aldi and get some groceries that I need to make it. You don't want to buy food that you're not planning on using right away, especially if it's like produce or stuff that's gonna go bad really fast. That's another tip I have, is that's a mistake that we've made, is buying things that we don't plan on using immediately and then they go bad. Like, everything goes bad. We didn't use it at all and we just wasted money on it. So make sure if you're planning on getting produce or any sort of food product that is perishable or is gonna go bad, make sure you're planning on using it right away or it's gonna go bad and you wasted your money. So we don't want that. So that's one thing. But meal prepping and meal planning can make just cooking and preparing food as a college student a lot less daunting, and you'll see that it doesn't have to be expensive. But properly nourishing yourself and hydrating are extremely important to your overall well-being and your functionality as a human and your clarity, and to be able to see things clearly and focus on work and school. And if you're not nourishing yourself or hydrating yourself properly, then you're not gonna do as well. You're not gonna perform as well in anything. And I know that from having an eating disorder and having been hospitalized several times for it. I know all too well that not being properly nourished or hydrated and depriving myself of nourishment, restricting myself of things, isn't healthy, and it distracts from everything else, and it just consumes your mind, and you can't focus on what really matters, and we don't want that. So just properly nourish yourself, hydrate, and meal prepping and meal planning is really helpful for me, and I feel it could be really helpful for a lot of college students. And just don't buy food that you don't plan on using right away if it's perishable. Just eat as well as you can, stay hydrated, and take care of your hygiene as well. That's another important part of self-care, is taking care of your hygiene, showering, shaving, brushing your teeth, changing, tidying up. All of that stuff is really important to your overall well-being, your relationships, and the work that you do and your performance. And make sure you're sleeping well enough too. My body naturally wakes me up at like 5:30 every morning, sometimes earlier, sometimes a little later, but it's never ever after 7 a.m. I've said that before, but if you didn't know, my body naturally wakes me up extremely early every morning, no matter when I go to sleep. So I have to make sure that I go to sleep at a decent time, so when I wake up at 5 or 5:30 that I feel well rested enough. And I usually, no matter what, wake up alert and awake, which is like weird. My body is just so weird about sleep. But even if you're a normal person who doesn't have a weird fucked up circadian rhythm, it's really important to get enough sleep. And if your body is like mine and wakes you up early, then go to sleep at a decent time. Make sure that you're getting enough sleep. I go to sleep at like 9 o'clock, sometimes even earlier than that, and sometimes a little later than that, but it's usually around then. That's enough sleep. That's enough sleep to make me feel functioning. And I do often feel tired, but I think that's just because I wake up so early. And I don't feel tired in the morning, and I get tired later, and that's why I go to sleep earlier. I don't know, I'm just rambling here, but all in all, make sure you get enough sleep. If you don't get enough sleep and you're not well rested enough, that's gonna affect everything else, including your performance in school. It's important to also reduce unnecessary stressors in your life, including people, substances, etc. So for me, caffeine. I love my coffee, but sometimes if I drink too much caffeine, if it's excessive, I will get a little anxious and jittery, like a lot of people do, especially when they have anxiety. So I limit myself. I limit how much coffee I drink. I usually drink 1 or 2 cups a day, sometimes a little more if I'm feeling frisky, but not a lot, not often. And I don't drink too much caffeine because I know how it's gonna affect me, and it's important to have that awareness. And people, if there's toxic, negative people in your life and they don't need to be necessarily in your life, then it's only appropriate to cut them out and just rip it off like a band-aid and just do it. Because I'm not gonna get into super personal details about my friendships because I don't have very many friendships and I don't want to ruin the ones I have, but friendships have been very hard for me for my whole life, and I've talked about this before. I'm not gonna go into it too much, but I don't really have a lot of friends. It's hard for me to make friends. Okay, so let's just say I had a friend, and for a while I didn't want to confront them about the fact that I didn't want to be their friend anymore. I didn't like their attitude anymore, and I didn't like a lot of stuff they were posting. I didn't like the way they talked to me. There was a lot of things that led me to the point where I just didn't want to be their friend anymore, and I didn't speak up about it. I didn't do anything about it for a long time, and I really regret that. I really regret not just being upfront about it, and I wasn't necessarily pretending to still be friends with them for a while, but we just wouldn't talk that much, and I would just be pretty dry with them, and eventually I just had to be like, look, this is not working. I regret not being upfront immediately. That's the point of that story. On a more positive note, if you can, go to more events at your school. My school doesn't have too many events. They have some events that I've gone to, but whatever events or extracurriculars that your school offers that you find interesting or could be enjoyable, like definitely look into it, take advantage of it. This is the only time that you're going to be allowed to participate in these school-only events at this specific school that you go to, so take advantage of it, and you'll be able to network with people and socialize with people, make new friends and professional relationships. And it's just part of the college experience, I think. I don't really know because I don't have a typical one. I think it's always important important to find some sort of creative outlet for yourself. Even if you're not necessarily a creative person, finding some sort of outlet of creativity can be really advantageous for your overall mental well-being, and just they're good coping skills. You know, writing, poetry, editing, drawing, YouTube, TV, music, playing an instrument, any sort of creative outlet like that is super advantageous to your overall well-being. And you know, I'm a writer, I'm in school for creative writing, so doing that only helps me in my career and as a student. But even if you're not in school for that necessarily, just finding that creative outlet can be a really great escape from school and a really good, you know, coping skill and distraction, and I don't know, it's just an enjoyable thing to do. And like I was talking about earlier, my school schedule is very sporadic, so it's important for me to find activities to occupy my time when I'm not in school and when I'm not doing schoolwork and where I'm not at work. So when I'm not working or doing schoolwork or at school, I need to have plans for stuff for me to do. I don't necessarily need to be constantly productive, and I've talked about that before as well. The constant need to be productive is something that I've always struggled with, and it's something that I've gotten better at, but it's important to just ground yourself and reframe your mind. If you feel like you just had this productive streak and you feel like you still need to keep going, it's okay to take a break. It's okay to take breaks. It's more than okay, because it's something that you should do, take breaks. You don't want to burn yourself out, because if I've found from personal experience that being constantly productive, just going and going and going, is going to burn me out. It's gonna burn all my creativity out of my brain, and it's going to make me feel lethargic and depressed and hopeless and worthless and all of these terrible things, because that stuff escalates really quickly for me. So I want to avoid it. So I keep myself distracted and occupied without necessarily making it productive. So I find movies and TV shows for me to watch. I'll work on my writing. I'll participate in that creative outlet that I was just talking about, writing. You can read. There's so many different things you can do. You can get into a new series or a new movie or a new YouTube channel, or you can binge watch all of Zoe Rebekah's videos on YouTube. You know, there's plenty of things for you to do to escape and, you know, distract yourself and reframe your mind and just stay busy. And I was talking about this earlier, but my last tip is, I was talking about organization earlier, but just generally keeping a tidy environment is super, super helpful. And it's the healthy thing to do is to keep your environment clean and organized and tidy, and a cluttered environment leads to a cluttered mind, so we want to avoid that. So just clean up your apartment or your house, wherever you live. Make sure you are working in a space that is organized and clean and you know where everything is, because my house back in Pennsylvania, it's known to be a mess and it would drive me crazy, especially because I couldn't find a lot of stuff. That's like the worst shit to me, is like when the house is a mess and I can't find what I need to find, especially if it's for school. So now that I'm in my own place, I keep it tidy and I maintain the organization and the cleanliness of the apartment so that I can work in an organized, tidy space and I can feel decluttered in my mind. So yeah, those are all of my tips for managing the mental well-being of a broke college student. Me! I am an emotionally unstable, I said that in my vlog title once, perfectionistic, emotionally unstable college student. But yeah, that's pretty much me. But I'm gaining stability, trust me. I gain stability every day with maturity and learning. So yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I really hope you guys found it helpful. Please leave me comments down below if you found it helpful, and leave me comments for other videos you guys want to see. Make sure you guys give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it, and make sure you guys are subscribed. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. A lot of you aren't, so please rectify that. And yeah, make sure you guys get copies of my books, my memoir, Battles on the Borderline, and my poetry book, An Erotic Anthology, and my psychology. And follow me on all my other social medias. My Snapchat is Zoe Frenchman, my Instagram is Zoe R Frenchman, my Twitter is Zoe Rebekah F, and my TikTok is Zoe RF420. So yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you guys in my next one. Bye!